Coming in at number 10, we have the ending. The randonauting people want to bring another level of enjoyment to the randonauting experience, so they do this by telling their users to think of an intention before they go on their little trip. It's something that gives the adventure a little more meaning, and sometimes people get what they were looking for in the strangest ways. Redditor Drake Berserker went out randonauting, and he stated that he wanted to find an ending. That is something very vague, but the universe knew how to take this information and give him exactly what he was looking for. There is a very nebulous way you could understand the meaning of an ending, but this is the most blunt rendition of the word. Ending up in a cemetery with a freshly dug grave is a very creepy way for the app to show you an ending. Now, is this a premonition from the universe showing you what you need to see? Or are the phones just listening to us and an AI is interpreting what you're saying and then sending you in the right direction? Coming in at number 9, we have a ritual site. I mean, I can't confirm that this is some sort of ritual site, but I'll let you guys get a peek at what I'm talking about, and then we can try to break it down together.
I don't know what it is. If you know what it is or what it means, comment down below. I don't know if it's like witchcraft or something. I'm scared.
So you get what I mean. It looks like some sort of site where there was some sort of strange ritual that was taking place. Like there's a whole circle of sticks going on, and then there's a circle at the center of the whole thing. There's also some weird markings in the grass that seem like they're shaped like a person. If anyone out there knows what these symbols mean, please let me know in the comments below. Coming in at number 8, we have consider yourself lucky. I have no idea why someone would go out randonauting and ask for something negative. My intention would always be like money or the answer to my problems or someone telling me I look handsome. I really like that. I would always want things to make my day better, but some people out there love the taste of danger, and I guess they want to have their limbs slowly removed by a psychopath. Now, this one is not spooky because of what the person saw, but it's because of what happened. The Redditor FlySensa02 went out randonauting, and their intention was to find something evil. Why would you ever want to find that? Well, when they got out of their house, they went into their car only to find this. If there has ever been a sign from the universe telling you that you are dumb and you should stay home, it's that. The evil that you were looking for. Trust me, you don't want to find it. You're better off chilling and just take a breather. Please. Coming in at number 7, we have metaphorically scary. A scary encounter can be a lot of things. It can be someone chasing you down the street with a knife, trying to steal your organs to make a cannibal stew. Or it can be reality slapping you in the face and forcing you to deal with the world around you. This randonauting encounter was the latter. Someone went out into the world with the intention of finding truth, and this is what they ran into. Okay, that is very dark. It's an American flag over a crumbling foundation and some random trash that has been thrown about. With everything that has been going on in the US, with the constant chaos that has been sweeping all over the news, whether it's secret police being sent into Portland to arrest protesters and taking them to unknown locations, or the coronavirus reaching numbers of all-time highs day after day, or the president doing a bean shoot in the midst of the insanity, things can feel a little hopeless at times. Coming in at number 6, we have Come Inside. The next point was a story I snagged off of Reddit. Our writer says they were randonauting in Montana and it led them into a forest. It was almost sundown, so they wanted to make this as quick as possible. Nothing like following your phone into the woods to try and find a random location you've never been to before, right before the sun goes down. It seems like many safe decisions were made that day. Well, they continued on into the woods until they came onto a path. There were some signs along the path directing them down the right direction. This seemed a little bit comforting because at least it showed that some people had been here before. Well, when they eventually got to the end of the path, they found a run-down cabin that had a large sign on it that read, "Come inside." Yeah, that's gonna be a no for me, dog. Well, our Redditor took this as a sign that they should turn around and never come back, and that's exactly what they did. The sign was probably nothing, but it could have been the laziest murder trap ever built. Coming in at number 5, we have watch out when you're in the woods. So it seems that scary murder traps aren't the only thing that are going to be waiting for you when you walk into the woods. A randonauting warning article told of some pretty horrific encounters that kids had while walking through the woods, something that's a little more threatening than an ominous sign trying to scare teens. But what about a bear encounter? Yes, apparently this happens quite often. I mean, sometimes they can be harmless, but still very intimidating. But if you are randonauting through the woods, you should be sure to bring stuff with you that can scare off predators, and don't be looking down at your phone constantly because you might end up someone else's snack, or just harassed like that girl went viral a few weeks ago when that black bear was just like poking at her. That was so freaky. Coming in at number 4, we have Don't Go Inside. Redditor YoYuke696969 decided that they wanted to have a spooky adventure there, and the intention that they put onto the world was that they wanted to see something scary. Well, be careful what you wish for, kids, because sometimes you're going to get slapped right in the face. Well, metaphorically speaking, a Redditor didn't actually get slapped in the face. Well, they ended up walking down a long, dirty road, and they saw this building. Yeah, you can't get much creepier than an old rundown mansion that looks like it's going to be the location for the next Resident Evil game. Oh, and if the look of the mansion wasn't creepy enough for you, here's something a little deeper to freak you out. Apparently this mansion is still used for religious retreats. What kind of religion has never been specified, but it's safe to say that this is some sort of secret cult mansion in the middle of the woods. Yeah, I think it's time to head home and pretend you never saw this place. Coming in at number 3, we have Be Careful What You Wish For. So a TikToker goes by the handle Anna49048 wanted to manifest destruction, and she ended up in the woods looking at all of this.
So today we tried randonauting. We decided to manifest destruction, and I thought it was so creepy that we came across all of this in the middle of the woods.
Yeah, that doesn't look like a good time at all. I don't know how serious this was. Like, I don't think a murderer would leave behind a sign that's labeled Chop Shop in the middle of the woods. That seems a little too obvious and kind of tacky. It's probably just some old props that were left out from a Halloween tour, but it's still creepy to come across all that stuff randomly. The video ends with her saying that the destruction got even worse when she went home, but that kind of sounds like something you would say because it's clickbaity and it keeps people going through your videos. But guys, you will never believe how insane the next 2 points are, so you have to stay tuned in this video to see what the top 2 are. See what I did there to keep you guys in the video? Coming in at number 2, we have Chase Down. Maybe here's a good idea. Don't go randonauting at night, especially when it's going to lead you into the woods. I feel like I can have so much more fun just staying at home alone, watching Netflix and binge eating something that's made with high fructose corn syrup. Well, someone who goes by the handle Tia Langley wanted a little more thrill in her life, and her 3 friends drove into the woods at night, and they were quickly met with some random dudes that were not happy to see them.
Go! Go, 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 go!
So this is what went down in the clip. One dude approaches the car with a flashlight. Why was this dude in the forest? We will probably never know. He rushes the car, and then 2 more guys show up, and one of them punches the car. Maybe they were camping there and they were pissed off to see some people driving through their campsite, or maybe they just wanted these girls to get out of their car so they could use them as a blood sacrifice. I don't know. And coming in at the number 1 spot, we have possibly a murder site. You know, I like games that make you adventure around the world in a fun way, like Pokemon Go. Let me catch a Pikachu. I don't want to catch a knife in the neck. So the TikToker Dream X Faith went out on a randonauting trip with a couple of her friends, and they came across this.
Okay, so we went on a randonauting trip and we just found 2 phones that were literally like stepped on. We also found the battery. So we also just found bones and what the?
Yeah, that's gonna be a big no for me, thanks. Why was there a phone and bones out there? Who did they belong to? Was this all set up for some views? I really have no idea. But there is the possibility that they stumbled upon a place where someone got rid of a couple of bodies and all of the stuff that belonged to them. I mean, this is partly the fault of the murderer. You should do a better job at hiding bones and bodies and all that junk. God. Coming in at number 10, we have Too Many Clowns. I don't know what's going on with this app, but it seems like it has a knack for taking people to places where no human should ever go. This first point was written by someone on Reddit who said when they trekked out on the Randonauting Experience, the intention that they put out into the universe was fear. If you don't know, something that you're supposed to do with randonauting is give out an intention to the world to help guide your adventure. Why would you want to find fear? I will never know. Well, this person ended up walking through the woods when they noticed something very strange. There were balloons that were tied to trees leading into the forest. When our Redditor followed them, they came to a halt when they saw a creepy clown standing alone in the forest. Well, maybe he was alone, who really knows? Well, it should go without saying that our Redditor ran out of the forest faster than they have ever moved before.
Coming in at number 9 is the scariest place. So this experience comes from YouTube channel Exploring with Eric, who set their intention as show us the scariest place ever. And as you can imagine, Randonautica does not disappoint, and it definitely didn't with this one. The coordinates led them to a long dirt road that had signs posted everywhere. One was particularly bizarre and was written in Spanish. Upon translation, it was apparently a warning from the witch who owned the property they were on. It said she had eyes on them at all times. hills, which great, that's just what I need on a little field trip out. Like I'm just gonna have some fun, you know, vibe it out. But then I see that, hell no. The road was also lined with 2 fences that had creepy dolls hanging from them all over, and some were burnt and some had limbs missing, which is very common for black magic rituals. At the very end of the road they found 3 mannequins dressed in old clothes just standing there like scarecrows. I mean, is it the scariest place on earth? I don't know. Is it pretty damn scary for a Monday? Yes.
Coming in number 8, we have lightning strikes. Sometimes you can see what's going to threaten your life when you're randonauting. It will be something right in front of you. I read one story about someone out randonauting, and the intention that they set out to find was peace. See, that is what I'm talking about. You should be trying to bring that kind of energy into your life because it's positive and very important. Well, it turns out that the universe didn't want to bring that to this person because they ended up walking into the middle of a field, then out of nowhere it seemed like a storm moved in and it started raining, and not even 10 feet away from them there was a massive lightning strike. They screamed and hightailed it out of there. Now, is this story true? I have no idea. Wouldn't the lightning like move through the ground and zap them or something, especially if the ground is wet? I'm not a scientist, so I don't really have the answer to this, but who knows? If you guys know, let us know in the comments.
Filling at number 7 slot are the bags. So this experience comes from TikToker Baddest Bunny on the block, great username by the way, who uses the app to find creepy, scary and then posts about it. So in this TikTok, the coordinates take the duo to a spot by a river near a random bus station. There they found an abandoned tarp next to what looked to be a freshly covered hole in the ground. I would have left at that point, but they decided to investigate further and found a shredded black garbage bag under the tarp. Inside the bag they found a weird object covered in some kind of red liquid and a shovel. So now it's like, what the hell did this person bury in this hole that they clearly don't want anyone to find? The duo then called the police, who collected evidence from the crime scene, and God knows what happened after that. Do I want to know? I'm not really sure.
Coming in at number 6, we have Steve Ronan's Adventure. I don't know how many times I gotta say this, but you guys are using this app wrong. Stop asking for horrible things when you should be asking for positive vibes to flow into your life. The YouTuber Steven Ronan went out to find something dark and twisted. Not exactly what I would go out looking for. Well, he ended up driving down a dark road that had pentagrams carved into trees. See, at this point, I would pack everything up and start heading home. But Steve is a trooper and kept pushing forward. Him and his camera crew found themselves at an abandoned house that looked like it was location for the next Texas Chainsaw Massacre movie. And right when things looked like they were gonna end with someone wearing Steve's face, the police show up. You know, I never thought I would be happy to see the police, but I'm always open to be surprised.
Coming in at number 5 is the best friend. So this one was shared by the user small_pink, who said she went randonauting and set the intention to anything to do with her best friend. Now for some context, her best friend committed suicide 2 years prior, and so I guess she was looking for a sign or a reminder or anything really that might have to do with her. She followed the coordinates to this random grassy area and saw a raven right above her. Almost poetically, it dropped one of its feathers, which was super freaky considering her best friend had always said that if she were ever to have a spirit animal, it would be a raven. I just don't get how the app does this. How could it have known about the spirit animal, and how was the raven even there? Like, it just doesn't make sense. Make it make sense to me, people. They're meant to be randomly generated coordinates. It's not that random.
At number 4, we have Look Who's Watching. Sometimes with randonauting, the experience doesn't end when you get home. Whatever your intention you put out into the world might have bigger plans than just letting you see some sights and making content. The YouTuber Mia Cole went out randonauting when she ended up in a field with a bunch of junk. It wasn't anything too interesting, but it wasn't the location that she went to during the day that set people off. It was the video that she made later that night when she got home. She was doing her regular thing, breaking things down, and in her window was something very strange. It seemed that there was a pair of yellow eyes that kept peeking through the window. Wait, what? The common consensus among horror lovers like yourself and myself is some sort of creature or being that saw her while she was out on her adventure, followed her home, and took interest in her. That is terrifying.
Filling at number 3 slot is what could have been. So finding dead bodies on Randonautica isn't really as rare as people think. It's surprisingly common given that it's an app that randomly generates coordinates for you, so I don't really know. Also, drinking game, how many times can I say randomly generating in this video? Let me know. So this one comes from TikToker Adam Castillo, whose username just misses most of the vowels, whose girlfriend wanted to get severely scared, so the intention they put in the app was body, which I feel like can genuinely never end well. Either way, the coordinates take them to an empty dumpster, and the last time I talked about a randonaut finding a dumpster, there was blood smeared all in and around it. This dumpster, however, had a single black garbage bag in it that looked weirdly full. They contemplate opening the bag and decide against it because they realize I don't actually want to get as scared as I thought I did. No police was called and no nothing, like bruh. Open the bag, you could have solved a cold case or missing persons file or something.
Number 2, we got Hellfire. Now, I'm not a religious person, but there is something so creepy about demons and demonology, and this next randonauting experience would creep me the hell out. A group of friends went out randonauting and they didn't want to put out any intention, and I guess when you do that, it brings in some pretty bad energy, because the trip took them through an area that none of them had seen before in their own suburbs. In fact, they didn't even know that this area existed. But at the end of the journey, there was a run-down church. There was graffiti all over it, and some of the windows had been smashed out. Now, for some reason, this group of friends thought it would be a great idea to head inside this abandoned, run-down church. I mean, the fact that the door was open didn't help. When they went inside, they started exploring, and they felt like something was watching them. There was something strange about the whole place. One person commented that they felt like they were being watched to their friends. They then went a little deeper into the church, and they found a giant pentagram with some candles burning around it, and what looked to be blood. The candles were still lit. This was enough to get them to leave, but one of the people who went out on this journey complained about brutal nightmares that lasted for a month after this adventure.
And finally, at number 1 is the cemetery. This one is utterly creepy and was shared by YouTuber Noah DB5, who wanted to find haunted spots around his university campus. The app then took him to a cemetery, but as he's approaching it, you can hear this shrill screaming that you just can't get out of your mind. Like if I heard that in real life, it would just etch itself into my brain. It's the kind of scream where you just know someone is inflicting pain on this person. After exploring the cemetery for a bit, he goes to a different coordinate a while later and hears the same screaming again. The screaming is coming from inside the woods, and then it kind of morphs into this animal-like sound. I don't know what he tried to find, but I hope he's glad he found it. I, on the other hand, do not have time for screaming banshees.
Oh god, there's more screaming as we're approaching the graveyard.
Starting us off at number 10 is 5 minutes. So this one comes from TikToker That Welsh Dyke, whose friend told her about Randonautica. So one night she decided to use it and go to the 2 locations it told her to since they were close by, and FYI, she didn't mention what she set her intention as, otherwise I would have told you guys. The second location was like 5 minutes from her house, and so she's driving there and it ends up being a specific person's house. A woman from the house comes outside and just stares at the user and smiles at her, not creepy at all. So she tries to send a message to the app to report that she had been to the location, and for some reason it wasn't going through. So she called her best friend, who was like, just give it 5 more minutes, and even the user was like, I felt like I had to stay for some reason. Then as she's driving back the way she came, a police car passes her and she sees like 3 police cars and an ambulance blocking off the road. There had been an accident minutes beforehand and she literally saw the guy being put into the ambulance. Had she left when she was going to, that car accident would have happened to her. Minutes, she was saved by minutes. Coming in at number 9 is the building. So this one is freaky as comes from TikToker Young Zalo, who decides to go to a Randonautica coordinate with his friends at 3:30 AM. The coordinates lead them to this random building in Duluth, and as soon as they're starting to get close, the street lights just start flickering out of nowhere. As soon as it starts flickering, that's when you know something is very off. The group then start contemplating whether to go inside the building or not, with the user being like, can we please go home? I would be this guy. As they go to turn around, they see this deer run into the bushes, or they thought it was was a deer. The skin of it was grey, which had them all thinking it was a skinwalker, which is so much worse than a deer, you guys. At number 8, we have the village. This one is from TikToker Playboy Lissy, whose coordinates led her straight into the Blair Witch Project or something that looked a lot like it. The user and her friend picked the 2 locations that seemed the most appealing. Both of those were in the woods though, so off on their little adventure they went. At first they find this closed up tent, which they're too scared to open because what if someone was still inside or on their way back to it. The next coordinate was a 5 to 10 minute walk from the tent, and it was this hut structure sort of thing that was made from wooden sticks. There was a wooden teepee tent looking thing in the middle, and it looked like whoever made it made wooden spiked barricades around it for protection as well. The top of the entrance of the teepee tent had the skull of some antlered animal, and that's when they thought enough was enough and left. I wouldn't have even gotten to the teepee tent thing, I would have been like, bye. Filling at number 7 slot is the cemetery. This one was uploaded by TikTok user Ho Falani, whose randonauting adventure took her to this tiny cemetery in the middle of nowhere. Now they're initially behind the fence away from the field, but the friends see that there's something hanging from the tree in the middle of the cemetery, so they decide to take a closer look. And that, my friends, is how they get you. They just entice you and bait you and then they just pull you in. Anyway, as they explore, they find this half-broken gravestone with 2 Raggedy Ann looking dolls on both sides of it, which is super freaking weird. They then inspect the tree and there's this open suitcase hanging from it, and inside of it was this upside down half-naked doll, and on the ground is the Bible. Now what is up with these creepy dolls? Wasn't Annabelle a Raggedy Ann doll too? Now at number 6 is the shed. So this randonauting adventure comes from TikTok user Emily Cullen, whose coordinates took her to this old abandoned house. And mind you, this house is the creepiest thing you've ever seen. It's falling apart, the windows are broken, the front gate is just left open, there's a bunch of trash strewn everywhere, including 2 large black garbage bags that look like they had something heavy in them, like a body perhaps, and that wouldn't even be the first time a body was found on TikTok. Randonautica. But there are also words carved under the window of the house, but the user was too far away to read them. They didn't want to get any closer because they felt this presence watching them. Ironically, the coordinates didn't lead them to the house, it led them to the house's shed, which was hidden in the shrubbery in the bag. The house was creepy enough, I bet my life on the fact they did not go into the shed. They did not. I refuse to believe it. No one has a death wish. Coming in at number 5 is the dog. This one isn't scary in like a horror way, it's scary in the wow, life can work in wonderful, scary, mysterious ways sometimes kind of way. Was that too niche? I don't care. Either way, this one's from TikTok user Slug Lexa, who just wanted to get her mind off the world and do some randonauting. Now a few weeks before they filmed this TikTok, Alexa's mum's dog Lala ran away and got lost and they couldn't find her anywhere. That's quite sad actually. So Alexa and her friends set their intention as mom's lost dog and they end up at Mojave Desert. Out of nowhere as they're walking, this dog just runs up to them and is the friendliest little thing ever. And he actually then starts leading them towards the coordinates on the app, and it ends up being a line of Joshua trees, which is odd since they're usually always found scattered around, not on a line. Now I'm just amazed at the fact they literally manifested this dog. They really wanted to take it home, but it actually ended up belonging to the family who lived nearby. That honestly wouldn't have stopped me. I always just see like little dogs and I'm like, I must kidnap you. You know what I mean? I never would, but I want to. At number 4 is the storm shelter. This one's from TikToker Bridget2702, who went randonauting with her boyfriend, and the coordinates led them to this open field with this chained up storm shelter. Now they couldn't get it open for despite even using wrenches, so they tried prying it open, which worked since it was so old. I don't know how or why they would go inside. I would not. What if there's some radiation mutant animal in there or something? You don't know. Now part 2 was uploaded by her boyfriend Jumbo Shrimp 2702, which shows them actually inside the storm shelter. There's a bunch of canned food stocked up in there from the 80s, it's crawling with spiders naturally, and they randomly find a hat in there from their high school. Now I know storm shelters are meant to just protect people from tornadoes and whatnot, but this one looked like a proper bunker made for the end of the world, like they were stocking up for like 6 years at least. Filling at number 3 slot is the camp. This one comes from TikToker Glossy Sophia, who shows us her randonauting adventure. It starts off with them in this forest and they get to their coordinate location and it shows what looks like an abandoned campsite. You see a few plastic chairs, a half buried shovel on the ground. The duo then decided that they had seen enough and got the hell out of there, and as they were leaving they came upon this giant bone. I'm sorry, what? A bone? Near a shovel and abandoned camp? Does that sound like something out of CSI Miami? Absolutely. Now I don't know whether an animal or person was killed there, but oh hell no. Nah, I'm not doing that. Now, at number 2 is the house. So admittedly, the background music of this one makes it a whole lot scarier, but it's still pretty terrifying all the same. Shared by TikTok user Keel780, it shows them walking in this grassy, weedy, abandoned sort of area, and they pan around so you can see the crumbling walls that look like they could have surrounded a house at one point. It then pans to the user walking up to this log cabin that has the number 666 on top of the door, and I don't know about you, but I'm not trying to accidentally stumble onto Satan's summer cabin, and despite being a wooden cabin, the door of it looked very medieval, very like super fortified and whatnot. Whatever they locked inside should stay locked inside in my humble opinion. I may not know much, but I know enough. And finally, at number 1 is the trail. This one started off pretty PG-13 and innocent, so I didn't think it'd be that scary, but it proved me wrong. Uploaded by TikToker Aaliyah, her and her friends get taken to this bridge that they've been to before, so nothing out of the ordinary is happening just yet. They're about to leave thinking the coordinates were a bus until they find a sort of puddle of blood that seems super fresh. Like, you can tell in the video it's wet, you can see that it is like glistening almost. They then realize the blood actually has a trail, so they decide to follow it. It takes them down the road and over this railing in this back alley, so whoever was bleeding somehow made it all the way to this railing and jumped or slid off to the other side, clearly trying to hide or suffer in peace away from any attention. The video ends with one of the friends deciding to follow the trail around the corner, and that is the biggest cliffhanger I've ever been left on in my life. Like, leave me on red, I don't care, just tell me what happened. What did you find?